We are at day 6 of the trial, and we are starting to get to see a lot more of the evidence. They begin with the doctor from yesterday. He's identifying some rugs, some reddish brown stains, some blood clots, what they appear to be at least, some white powder, what looks like tissue at one part, maybe like speckles of it, a metal piece he thinks is some jewelry. It says Gucci on it. All this stuff got saved to be looked at later. And that's kind of what they do with him when he comes back up. But now we get the defense. And the defense is, remember, she just died, right? And this is a medical professional. So we're going to get to see the defense make the argument that she just died. The witness carefully went through what was on the rug, and there's talk of a commission he's no longer on, more talk of his job as medical examiner, talk of presentations and lectures. He investigates multiple types of death, including sudden death. And that can happen where the decedent is in apparent good health. Sudden death is actually in the statute for the medical examiner. They go through the types of death, including undetermined. There's a guide that goes through manner of death. Medical examiners also find the cause of death. Without a physical body, the medical examiner can't determine a manner or cause of death. Talk of death by fear, autoerotic behavior, and more. They have the doctor explain autoerotic asphyxiation. Sudden unexpected death is rare, but it has many causes. They go through many reasons for sudden unexpected death. It occurs in all groups of people of all ages. The defense talks about a cause of death at night where a man says something in bed and then just dies. The witness explains that maybe he's talking about an ion channel arrhythmia thing and then kind of laughs off the night and talking part, as that's not really part of it. Sudden unexpected death happens to people who look healthy before. Sudden death can be the first example of a problem. First time you find out about the problem is they're dead. The witness asked if he talks about if he's talking about all causes of sudden death, like injuries. So basically, I think the witness is being a bit of a smartass at this point, to be honest. I think it's very clear that he's talking about you just like fall over dead, and he's like, well, what about accidents and other things that are sudden? You know. Defense explains he means without an apparent cause. Witness asks if he means a natural cause of death. Again, I think he's being a smartass. That's my opinion. Yeah, natural. Sometimes it happens to trained athletes. It can happen during sexual activity. It can happen due to extended travel. We have had a weird focus on like sexual activity, right? So like, is Brian Walshe going to be like, yeah, we went up to the bedroom and we made passionate love, and I went to go get us a snack from the kitchen and she passed away from the love making? Like, it really feels like they're trying to like lay that foundation, which, you know, I don't think that one's gonna work. I think you're better off just saying she fell over dead. Sudden natural death can happen suddenly, but not instantly. You can't diagnose a cardiac arrhythmia unless they're connected to a machine when they die. Not even under the microscope can you tell. So they're basically saying, look, there's no body, so they can't determine cause of death. But if Brian's telling the truth, even with a body, they couldn't prove it. Defense questions if someone can look like a normal person while dying of cardiac arrhythmia. Witness says you don't normally look like a normal person during that. Defense asks if squeezing can be what causes sudden death. The witness explains the term the defense is using about blood in the chest cavity restricting it, not like physical squeezing. Sudden arrhythmic death syndrome is 5 to 10% of young people's natural deaths, which sounds high, but you got to remember natural death is also a low number to begin with. So we're talking a low percentage of a low percentage. The defense messes up trying to say a medical term, and the witness doesn't know what they're talking about. You can seem normal until time of death. People can experience sudden death with no signs beforehand. Massive pulmonary embolism is one of the biggest causes of sudden death in young adults and can be from traveling. Hormonal therapy can also cause sudden death. I don't know if she was on. We've not gone into anything with suggesting Anna Walshe had hormonal therapy. Could be birth control. Could be a number of things, right? Asphyxia can be caused by a positional obstruction. A heavy weight on your chest can keep you from breathing. pressure on the vagus nerve leading to death. Chief medical examiner, this guy's group, has presented causes of sudden unexpected death. It's rare in someone young without medical problems. So we're kind of going back and forth. But it's possible, but it's rare. Redirect is up. There is no evidence in this case of sudden death because there's no body to autopsy. A sudden arrhythmia disorder would have to be an exclusionatory diagnosis because nothing else fits. Hypoxia would be a variety of findings. Pulmonary embolism, you can see the clot. Other causes can be bleeding around the brainstem, can be painful. Medical examiner did not determine a cause of death because they had no body. Sudden unexpected deaths can occur without injuries. I'm really confused why the prosecution asked that. I wonder if the prosecution wasn't expecting that answer. Maybe they thought it would be there's injuries because there's a pause. Like a noticeable pause. And the defense is gonna jump on it, but there's a noticeable pause. They can look at medical records. In sudden unexpected death, they will sometimes talk to those with them before they died. They didn't get anything to look at. Sudden unexpected death in a 39-year-old woman is rare. Travel can cause unexpected death due to blood clots from not moving. So, in this little bit of the redirect, what's the big thing we've gotten, right? You can have an unexpected sudden death without injury. That it can happen from travel. I mean, I don't think this redirect helped the prosecution, and the defense jumps in it, making sure that they verify that no injury at all can be required to lead to sudden unexpected death. I think that redirect didn't help. I don't think it was amazingly helpful for the defense, but it did not help the prosecution, in my opinion. Next witness is up. Teresa Marchese. She works for Trishman Spire in D.C. I'm looking at my notes here, and there's a lot here. It's the retelling of the story of going to the apartment, going to her house and going into the garage and all of that. It's the retelling of that, the retelling of having the private investigator be involved. We've all heard that before. It's that being retold by the woman who actually did it. They show text messages she had. No more talking to Brian after the text. Anna talked to Brian to bring the children to D.C. She said the summer, then September, then no more conversations. We know that is due to that's due to the fact that Brian's court stuff. They do also mention in this that they tried to call hospitals, and there was talk of Brian's mother wanting to hire a private investigator, whether that's true or not. The defense is up. She is a managing director. They have systems to keep track of employees' sick days. This is She provided a document of Anna Walshe's sick days, but it only goes up to December 7th, according to the defense. And she doesn't recall if Anna took sick days or vacation days on December 21st for her mother's surgery. Going off of old evidence, that's a mistake. Or purposefully misleading the jury. Could be. That was in November. The witness didn't catch it. Agreed with December. No records of Anna going to Dublin. They explain the crossing apartment. They explain the Legionnaire outbreak at the crossing. So Anna was working for a property that had a Legionnaire's outbreak so bad the health department stepped in and put up signage. Which, again, remember, she was also saying she felt ill right before it. So now we have a case where if you're the jury, you might be wondering, well, why isn't any records of her possibly taking a sick day, not continuing after the 7th? Why did the prosecution also limit so much of that data in the web browser? Why don't we have older search history? Why is it so restricted? Why are we only seeing little bits? Little bits of doubt could be creeping in for someone. Let's see here. There was talk of the life insurance, how she also had a policy for double her yearly salary, comes with a job, you can get more possibly. A bunch of objections sustained about Anna never bringing up divorce. First time this woman ever spoke to Brian was when Anna was missing. She doesn't know if Brian ever reached out to Anna's boss. And something about the department looking into possible bonuses. I don't know why that matters, but that was going on. Redirect, talk of Thanksgiving Friday being a floating holiday. Anna Walshe did receive bonuses. She was a good employee. There were complaints from the crossing. And oh, yeah, there was also an FBI raid at the crossing. None of that involved Anna. And then we had a break. We come back up, and again, prosecution witness, David Gould, he is up prior. He's up to explain that he told the jury the wrong location they took the evidence. So he was the one that was like, I took the evidence to this location. He said the wrong place. Then they bring up a bag that he told the jury had a jacket, socks, and bracelet. It doesn't. It has just the jacket. Then they bring up a bag with the socks and a bag with the bracelet, and it was all separated out, and they have to correct all that for the jury. Next up is Hugh Dunley, works at Tishman Speyer. He is a security officer, used to be Secret Service. He talks about how Anna was issued email, credit cards, phone. None of that was accessed after the 30th. How Brian acted emotional for like 20 seconds after he spoke on the call and then got his act together and acted normal again. Told Brian to call the police immediately and said he'd be doing it himself, which I believe Brian didn't actually call the police at that time. All that stuff we've all heard just gets repeated. Then we have Patricia, I think it's Patricia Patterson, works at Walgreens. They have the surveillance system, thumb drives. You see Brian come in, make a purchase, leave. It's bandages and antibiotic cream at 15:40 on the 1st, so 3:40 p.m. So that's, playing the story that he got injured while doing something to Anna. Next up is Joseph Caesar, store manager at the Venin Liquors. Issues with their systems going down in the actual courtroom. There's like lights getting dark. They can't load up exhibits. It's a whole problem in the actual courtroom. And then we get back and we're trying to talk through this and hope that the systems are back up by then. They're right next to a Whole Foods. Brian Walshe is a regular customer. He likes to talk to people. Explains the footage they have. They turned over the law enforcement. He IDs the drive and the cameras, the video playing the camera, the TV works, so we get to watch it. Brian Walshe comes up to the store, gets out, sits there for a bit, goes to the trunk, quickly goes off camera, quickly returns, and then sits in his car. So as soon as he's out of the car with his bag, he's like half sprinting, in my opinion, and otherwise he's just sitting there not in a hurry. We get another angle of him running up to the dumpster, tossing something in, and running away. So the store is not open on that day. It's January 1st at 5:12 p.m. So that's kind of putting it in there that, hey, he might have been throwing away body parts or something bloody at that point. We don't know what it could be. Remember, he had injuries. So there's been this question of like, when did he actually like dismember the body, that type of thing. Some people I've seen think it might have been later, like a couple days later, and he stored the body in the basement, but he was throwing something away on the 1st. Next, we have Cade Reed. He's a district asset protection manager at Lowe's. He explains the type of camera they have and reviewed footage from 2 Lowe's, actually, and the thumb drive is submitted. This is actually an image from that's already, I believe, was public, this particular image, before the trial. This is Brian wearing a mask, wearing gloves, and he's doing a self-checkout and he needs help. This man cannot use a self-checkout. If he's guilty of no other crime, it's that. It's bad. Every self-checkout, he needs help. He grabs a cart. He goes in. He's grabbing things off the shelf. Can't really read what sections he's at, but he does eventually wrap around to the laundry section, which I'm assuming a lot of it's laundry and cleaning. They show him at the front, buckets, bags, bottle of some cleaner, mop, lots of different things. Direct look at his face because of the self-checkout register. He had employees helping him do the self-checkout, and you at one point get to see a direct look into his face. You see him leaving. They submit the receipt. More stuff I didn't mention include, because I couldn't see it, were a hammer, snips, utility knife, 200 count rags, shoe guards, Tyvek suit, dish wand, sanding, fiberglass, something. $463 worth of stuff he bought. He paid $500 in cash, so we got some change. Now they want to show blurred video of another Lowe's, and they're showing the entry, and it's Brian who brought his kids. Well, his son, at least, it looks like. No mask or gloves, and he bought a trash can. It looks like other items we don't clearly get to see. Why does he suddenly need a trash can? You can make up that decision yourself. And he has his son help scan it, which is not going to play well with the jury. January 4th. Mother's been dead 3 days. Next up is Jamie Flint. She works at CVS as operations manager, RX. Surveillance footage is submitted. Also, by the way, sorry, when he's with the son, he needs help checking out the self-checkout. Then we get Jamie Flint at CVS, operations manager. Surveillance footage is submitted. Brian walks in, buying things at self-checkout. Third self-checkout video where he's incapable of buying and needs help. They submit the receipt. 5 bottles of hydrogen peroxide and 46 cents to feed America. And now we go on break. So, you can, of course, watch the footage of the trial if you want to see the surveillance footage, but it's surveillance footage of someone buying stuff. They're not really great quality. The best view we got was directly Brian face on from the self-checkouts. I think out of all of this, Brian is most likely gonna. They're saying he lied. He's pled guilty to dismemberment. So I think the really damaging part might be the son was involved at all, right? They didn't directly point out the exact items purchased. Maybe they were unrelated. But why do you suddenly need a trash can? A new one. Maybe something happened to the old one? I don't know. I don't think that'll look good for the jury. But again, prosecution, so far, I mean, we had them have to correct some items, which not a big deal, right? But it only takes one member of the jury. We had for some reason, the prosecution kind of asked more questions. He doesn't need to have an injury for a sudden death. Again, needs one member of the jury. And we're going to continue on.
Gregory Deneen is up, and he works for the parent company of Stop and Shop. He's an investigation specialist. He has access to surveillance cameras. He confirms the drive, and there's a bit of a discrepancy here. They show a video of the Stop and Shop entry, January 1st, 2023 at 7:02 p.m. Brian walks in. That's fine. That's fine. Except he says that all the cameras are accurate, and then it shows Brian checking out at 6:57 p.m. So he didn't go back in time. So obviously all the times aren't accurate, at least a few minutes off. Not the biggest deal, but not accurate. Now, Brian Walshe does go up to a self-checkout, and I know what you're thinking at this point, because I think I've mentioned it. Can he use the self-checkout without assistance? And the answer is no. No, Brian Walshe needs help again. He gets help. He bought 3 64-ounce bottles of ammonia and some coconut oil. Next is a group of pre-approved exhibits. Forensic scientist is up, Matthew Sheen. They go through his credentials. They explain what Brian's house is like. He went looking for blood and trace materials. The kitchen was mostly clean. They found hydrogen peroxide, and there was a knife in the cabinet, which if you look at the photo, it was like above poison, so that was kind of suspicious, you know. Like not like poison for a human. Like I think it was like poison for like ants, but not really where you'd store a knife above like in a cabinet. It was a weird position. It did screen positive for blood, but they have to mention that vegetables, some of them, and legumes can also give that positive. So, I mean, if he was chopping broccoli, that's not the best evidence there at this point, right? There's more testing coming. He did not test the dishwasher. His tests in half the half bathroom and the washing machine, dryer, sink, all negative. They move to the basement, and they show the basement. There's a back right corner of the basement with stains. Show the basement ceiling. You can see like insulation there. And they did screening for multiple spots, all positive for blood. And you'll notice that all of the stains, if you watch, are like a bright purple. Not brownish brown, purple. There's more purple on the bottom broken stair. There's also a support beam behind the stairs, which has purple. The stains were purple due to a chemical the crime scene services use that turns it purple. Now, the issue with this chemical, whatever it is that it can actually give negative results in the lab. Spoiler, some of these do show up as negative later in the lab. Maybe that's usual, right? Maybe like using that chemical is just usual, but like they mentioned luminol later, that's not what they used. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. It's just a little off-putting to me. It's like, yeah, it changes the color, and now future tests might come back negative. I don't like that, but
I mean, the evidence is the evidence at this point, right? He tested areas on the second floor of the bathroom. Everything tested negative for blood. The house was secured and they continued the next day. He returned the next day, searched a bedroom with a pile of clothes, white residue, what appeared to be maybe a spot on the floor missing varnish. He tested 2 additional stains on the curtain and a purple stain, all negative. He came back to the room later because they had actually removed flooring where the varnish was missing. Didn't see a reason to test where they removed it. There was nothing there. He found a stain on the doorway, isn't visible in the photo, so they're talking about a stain. You can't see it in the photo, and it tested negative. Maybe they're just going for completeness of all the exhibits, right? But that was kind of worthless. He went to an area with black trash bags in the basement. They went down to that. And he finds another stain and did a testing screening. This was positive. He submitted items for wait, hold up. The stain in the doorway, that was going into the basement. I'm sorry. Basically I missed a little bit. Everything upstairs had no blood that was found. The only thing they really found was the knife and the basement. But he went back down to the basement, and black trash bag area, they found some brown stains and what appeared to be blood, positive. He submitted some items for DNA analysis. He explains how you present cross-contamination back in the lab. They took samples from the knife, from all sorts of stuff. They took samples from the hacksaw, hammer, blade and knife with a hatchet. Hatchet had a greasy, oily substance, which from his experience could be from fatty tissue from an individual that was chopped up. A lot of positive results are coming through. Tyvek booties were negative for blood. One of the plastic seats had staining. Results from the test were positive on one spot, but negative on the others. There was one of the spots in the basement came back as negative. Others were positive. A lot of back and forth. They show towels that are covered in blood. They show areas they're looking for possible skin cells inside the Tyvek suit. They talk about hairs that were tested for blood, and then they also took the hairs and tried to confirm are they human or the animal. And in one case, it was both human and animal. In another case, it was all human. I'm not reading word for word, just giving you an idea. There's a lot of, yes, we tested it, yes, there was blood. A lot of rugs, so many rugs tested positive for blood. White powder was sent to another unit for ID. He explains what luminol is. Fingerprint testing doesn't affect blood testing. Cleaning agents, though, can destroy DNA. So they're putting it out there like, right, there was no DNA, but it could be did by a bunch of cleaning agents. So at this point, with the prosecution, long story short, is we have some blood found in the basement. We have blood on a knife in the kitchen, which could be from cutting yourself, could be from cutting broccoli. They don't have like a verified, whose blood it is. I mean, I will say I've had knives that just needed sharpened, and when I realized that, I put them somewhere out of the way so I won't accidentally use them again and hurt myself because they're dull. That very well could be what happened with that knife in the house, right? Like someone could have cut themselves with a knife, it's too dull, and threw it up there to be sharpened or gotten rid of, or you're not going to just drop a knife in the trash. That would not be good. Put it up there, or it could have been used in the murder. I will say, since there's no blood anywhere else but the basement, I would say there's a decent chance it's not connected to the actual murder. But maybe there'll be something else to show. Defense is up for cross. This witness's first time in the house were the 8th, but multiple officers have been in and out of the house for days without protective garments, and it's important to protect the integrity of the home before testing. He can't tell the jury how certain materials got deposited. It's kind of hinting that maybe the police spread the blood. Like maybe they took it from one area and it got traveled around. Remember, for example, there's a broken step at the bottom of the stairs. Could be transfer from investigators walking. What was on the floor could be transfer. All they're saying is a bunch of blood in one location. Maybe that's an investigator stepped in it somewhere else and walked around. They don't say all of that, but that's kind of what they're trying to put out there. On the 9th, when he visited, he testified about finding white residue. The defense says he put it in a report that he didn't see it on the 8th, but the witness says he doesn't remember. So this is kind of a problem. because the witness is saying he doesn't remember something that the defense is saying it's in his report. I assume we're going to circle back to that, but either way, that puts forward the case of maybe it's transfer from the police. He did understand that people had been in these rooms before him. Flooring was dug out around where he saw the white residue, but he did not ask personally for it to be removed. The flooring was removed to look for biological evidence between the crevices. You look below it as well. There was no biological evidence found after tearing up that floor. There's no biological evidence in the ceiling hole. That room had a hole in the ceiling, and he didn't think the attic had been disturbed above that hole. He didn't examine the pieces in the drawer. He thought he saw red-brown stains on the curtain in the room, but those were all negative. Sometimes you see red-brown stains, and they're just red-brown stains. Nothing was forensically important in the bedroom. He didn't know part of the baseboard had been removed. He didn't know what cause would appear to be the varnish removed. Could have been wear and tear. From children playing. He examined an interior closet and found nothing important. There was a bed in the room, but he didn't test the bed. He has tools and chemical to detect invisible biological substances, and he's trained to find non-visible blood, and he didn't see any reason to look for that in this room. He only examined the bathrooms on the second floor other than the bedroom, and he checked handles in the sink, down the drain, no evidence, nothing. Found nothing on the stairs or railing from the second floor. So, the jury is sent home, there's a sidebar, and everything ends. So we have a witness basically saying that the only forensic evidence they have found thus far that's been admitted in the house itself is going to be from that knife in the kitchen, up in a cabinet, in the basement, and I think I forgot to mention it. They found blood in the vehicle in the back. Which, I mean, there's a lot of different reasons you could argue someone might have a cut or hurt themselves and be in a vehicle. I have no doubt that it probably is from the murder, but I'm sure the defense might try something with that tomorrow. The defense will probably go back through and have him verify about that flooring, whether it changed from one day to another, things like that. I mean, all in all, it's pretty damning that, he did the cleanup afterwards, I think. My issue is he's not going to, at least so far as we know, he's not going to deny he didn't do the cleanup. He's not going to deny he lied to police. They're just going to say she just died. And we don't have, from the sounds of it, anywhere in the house that appears to be where she was killed. There's not like blood spatter or anything like that proving that location. Which maybe there wasn't blood spatter. Maybe it was a different method. We don't know. All it takes is one member of the jury. Always keep that in the back of your head. Every little slip up by the prosecution, that was supposed to be in another bag, or I don't remember this from my report, or yes, all of these different things we tested, we could, it makes it so sometimes we get a negative in the lab. All it takes is that one doubtful juror. And that's what the defense is banking on. And that's all they're trying to do. They're not trying to convince all 12. They're trying to get one. Anything they can latch onto for doubt. Are they going to do it? I don't know. It seems like they have a better shot at it than I came into this expecting. I'll put it that way. I think the defense has done better than I expected for the defense of she suddenly died. Not a great defense. I don't think they're going to win, but definitely done better than I thought.